Okay, so last year I did something that honestly felt a little crazy at the time, but I decided to fully commit to this Lionsgate portal manifestation thing that everyone was talking about. And what happened over the next few months was so intense that I'm almost nervous to share this story because I know some of you are going to think I'm making this up. But with Lionsgate portal happening again this year on the 8th of August, I realized I had to tell you what actually happened when I manifested during that portal last year. Because if you're thinking about doing manifestation work during this cosmic window, you need to know what you might be getting yourself into. And I'm not just talking about the good stuff that manifested. I'm talking about everything that shifted in my life, including some things that honestly scared me at first. So last year, around this time, I was in this place where I felt like my manifestations were just not working the way I wanted them to. I was doing all the things, the vision boards, the affirmations, the meditation, but everything felt slow and inconsistent. And then I kept hearing about this Lionsgate portal thing. And honestly, I was a little skeptical because it felt like another spiritual trend that everyone was jumping on. But there was something about the date, the 8th of August, 2024, that kept pulling at me. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And you know how I always tell you to trust those persistent thoughts? Well, I decided to take my own advice. So I created this really specific manifestation ritual for the Lionsgate portal, and I committed to doing it not just on the 8th of August, but for the entire activation period. I had no idea what I was about to set in motion. The first thing that happened was actually kind of terrifying. Within 3 days of doing the ritual, my entire routine got completely disrupted. Not in a bad way, but in this intense, everything is changing at once way that made me question if I had opened some kind of cosmic floodgate. Here's what actually manifested, and I'm going to be completely honest with you about the timeline because I kept a journal through the whole thing. Day 4 after the ritual, I got a text from someone I hadn't heard from in over a year. And this wasn't just anyone, this was someone I had been trying to manifest back into my life but had completely given up on. The text was so random and out of nowhere that I literally sat there staring at my phone for like 10 minutes. Week 2. 3 different opportunities showed up in my inbox within 2 days. I'm talking about opportunities that I had been visualizing and affirming for months, and suddenly, they were all there at once. But here's the thing that freaked me out. They all required me to make these huge decisions really quickly, and I wasn't prepared for that level of acceleration. Week 3. This is where things got really wild. I started having these incredibly vivid dreams, and in these dreams, I was getting information about things that hadn't happened yet. And then those things would actually happen within days. I'm not even kidding about this. I dreamed about a conversation I was going to have with my brother, down to the exact words we would use, and then we had that exact conversation 3 days later. Month 2. By September, my entire financial situation had shifted. Money started coming from directions I never expected. Some of it was money I had forgotten about, some of it was opportunities that led to income, and some of it was just these random windfalls that made no logical sense. But here's what nobody tells you about Lionsgate manifestations, and this is really important. The thing about Lionsgate portal energy is that it doesn't just bring you what you think you want, it brings you what you actually need for your highest path. And sometimes those two things are very different. So yes, I manifested that person back into my life. But when they showed up, I realized that our connection had evolved into something completely different than what I thought I wanted. The opportunities that manifested were amazing, but they required me to step way outside my comfort zone in ways I hadn't anticipated. The financial abundance was incredible, but it came with responsibilities and decisions that challenged me to grow up in ways I wasn't expecting. And those prophetic dreams? They were showing me that my intuitive abilities were expanding, but that meant I had to learn how to manage having access to information that I wasn't always ready to receive. The acceleration was so intense that by October, I felt like I was living in a completely different reality than I had been in July. And while everything that manifested was technically what I had asked for, the speed and intensity of it was overwhelming. I realized that Lion's Gate portal doesn't just open doorways for manifestation, it literally catapults you into your next level of existence, whether you feel ready or not. So, what is it about Lion's Gate portal that makes manifestations so powerful and so fast? Lion's Gate portal happens when the sun is in Leo, and there's this specific alignment between Earth, the star Sirius, and the galactic center. Sirius is actually twice as bright as our sun, and ancient civilizations have been tracking this alignment for thousands of years because they noticed that during this time, the veil between dimensions gets thinner. What this means energetically is that during Lion's Gate portal, your manifestation requests don't have to travel through as many layers of resistance to reach the quantum field where creation actually happens. It's like the universe temporarily removes some of the buffers that usually slow down the manifestation process. But here's what I learned from my experience last year. The reason Lion's Gate manifestations are so intense is because this cosmic window doesn't just amplify your conscious desires, it amplifies everything that's ready to shift in your life. So if you have any blocks, fears, or limiting beliefs that are ready to be cleared, Lion's Gate will bring those to the surface too. That's why some people have challenging experiences during Lion's Gate season. It's not that the energy is negative, it's that the energy is so powerful that it forces everything that's not aligned with your highest good to come up for healing. And that's actually the secret to working with Lion's Gate energy successfully. I'm going to share with you the exact approach I used last year, but I want you to understand that this isn't just about the ritual itself, it's about how you prepare your energy to receive what you're calling in. 3 days before the 8th of August, I did what I call an alignment cleanse. I spent those 3 days really honestly looking at what I was trying to manifest and asking myself if those things were actually aligned with who I was becoming, or if they were just things I thought I should want. On the 8th of August itself, I did the manifestation ritual at exactly 8:08 p.m. because I wanted to work with all that 8 energy. But here's what made the difference. Instead of just asking for what I wanted, I also asked to receive whatever I needed for my highest good, even if it didn't look like what I expected. And then, for the 7 days following the 8th of August, I paid attention to everything that showed up in my life, no matter how small or seemingly unrelated. Because Lion's Gate energy doesn't always deliver your manifestations in obvious packages. Sometimes it starts with a random conversation, or an unexpected email, or a sudden urge to take a different route home. The key is staying open and trusting that everything that shows up during this window is part of your manifestation, even if you can't see the connection yet. Now, if you're thinking about doing manifestation work during this year's Lion's Gate portal, there are some things you need to know first. This energy is not something to play around with casually. If you're not ready for rapid change in your life, you might want to approach this more gently. Lion's Gate portal will take you seriously, so you need to be serious about what you're asking for. Before you do any Lion's Gate manifestation work, get really clear on whether you're truly ready to receive what you're asking for. Because this energy doesn't bring you things to play with, it brings you things that will fundamentally shift your reality. Make sure you have support systems in place, because the acceleration can be emotionally and energetically intense. Make sure you're taking care of your physical body, because cosmic energy downloads can be physically exhausting. And make sure you're prepared to trust the process, even when things start manifesting in ways that don't make logical sense at first. But if you feel called to work with Lion's Gate portal energy, and you're genuinely ready for your life to change in significant ways, then this cosmic window could be exactly what you need to finally break through to your next level. So that's my Lion's Gate portal manifestation story from last year, and honestly, sharing it with you feels like another manifestation because I never thought I'd be brave enough to tell you guys about some of the more intense parts of that experience. Lion's Gate Portal 2025 is happening this Thursday, the 8th of August, and the energy is already building. If you're feeling called to work with this cosmic window, trust that calling, but also respect the power of what you're stepping into. I want to hear from you guys. Have any of you worked with Lion's Gate portal energy before? What was your experience like? And for those of you who are thinking about trying it this year, What are you hoping to manifest? Drop a comment and let me know, because your stories and intentions help build the collective energy for all of us. And if you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because I have more Lionsgate portal content coming this week, including specific techniques you can use during the portal window. Thank you for letting me share this story with you. Be open to receiving, and I'll see you in the next video.